Hey, what's up? This is Aaron Holstein. I just made a new sound pack. It's called Raw Material Volume 1. I want to show it to you. Let's check it out. All right, here we go. Hey, how's it going? Here I am in the computer. The pack is called Raw Material, and when you unzip it, there's a folder called Vibesquad Labs Raw Material Volume 1. Put that somewhere in your library where you know where it is, and then you can always go here in the browser to the add folder. And when you click on add folder, you can surf to wherever you kept that sound pack. In this case, I put it in my library, and I now have access to it. So when you click on it, those folders come up here in the sub browser section. There are one-shot samples in folders, and I tried to name it and keep it as organized as possible. So you have ambience, effects, glitchy sounds, kicks, minimal percussion hits, snares, synth bass, and synth one-shots. Okay? So I made a few example patches. If you have Ableton 9.7 or newer, which is what this was made on, you can open these. Starting with, let's see, just really simple. All you do is open up these folders and either double click or drag the .adg file here that has the name, and it will create a new instrument for you. For instance, okay. So that's just a rack containing a simpler that's holding that one-shot sample, followed by an auto filter, compressor, reverb. That's what I put together for that. Really simple. And here's another sound. Now this is just a simpler right here. Oops, I'm triggering the last sound I was messing with. So that's what this sounds like if you just bring in the sample to a simpler and you don't add any effects or anything else to the chain. Kind of the simplest way of using this. So I'm going to show you a few more presets, but then I'm just going to create them from scratch a few times so that you can see how easy it is to create your own presets using these one-shot samples. Okay, another cool one that I made, let's see here, is the minimal percussion. I called it Minimal Perc Autonomatron. And really what it is an arpeggiator in front of a drum rack full of tiny little percussion sounds. And the arpeggiator has its hold set to on so that when you play some stuff, it starts to play it, in this case in 16th note synced rate, and you can change the groove to swing, etc. But it gets you started here. And like adding a beat to that. Here, let me start over here. So little clicky sounds. You could do some fun things with that, but it's just really simple little setup for playing some of the minimal percussion sounds. Let's stop that. And a couple synth bass presets. Let's see what we got. So you can see what I did there. Basically, I was just putting one shots into a simpler, followed by a compressor. And in this case, I put a limiter at the end because of the bass has a pretty strong signal. And when you compress it and turn it up a little bit, the limiter helps add a ceiling to that so it can't go above a certain volume. So those were some of the presets. I'll grab one more, show you guys. Place this one. Kind of a keys thing. So here's some of the one shots just on their own. Here's some of the ambient stuff. That's kind of spooky. You get the idea. And these can be, you can put reverb on these things and you can add delay and filters and do all kinds of stuff and they will sound totally different. So here's some of the effects one shots. And there's 200 one shots in this folder. So I'm going to skip through and just play. You get the idea. And of course, adding a little bit of reverb on these makes a whole difference. So for instance, here, I'll make one from scratch. Insert MIDI track. I go to instruments. I grab a simpler. I go back to my raw material, grab that sample I was messing with, drag it in, and now, oops, that was the synth I was playing. So now, you can go and add some effects like reverb is a really easy, and lengthen the decay time. You can do some interesting things just kind of right out of the gate, or add a delay to put the simple delay on something like that. Anyway, those can be handy. You can resample some stuff. Go back to the door stoppers. I recorded those. Those are real door stoppers in my house. Those make for awesome little things. Reverse those. Those sound cool when you turn them around backwards. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Glitchy things. Lots of fun glitchy sounds. A whole folder of heavy duty kicks. Okay, like a whole bunch of those. Minimal percussion. That was like what we were listening to in that device that I had made. These little kicks. These tiny sounds are really useful for adding detail. They don't take over the mix, but you can put stuff way up in the upper frequencies for percussion and add some cool stuff. I like these. Anyway, you get the picture. Lots of little things. Whole folder of snares. Okay. Moving right along, we got bass synth one-shots, and they're all in the key of C. That one's sweet. Bunch of stuff, tons. And some synth one-shots. And to use these, you could just grab one of these and drag it into a simpler. So I'll say in new MIDI track, I'll go up to instruments, grab a simpler, drag it onto the track, go over here, enable my record, go back to my raw material stuff. I turn the loop off. And then these are all playable instruments. If you turn the warp to, well, tones didn't sound that good. Let's see texture. Well, it's a little wobbly. Let's see if it works. Sometimes you can get away with doubling the length of these. Certain sounds work a lot better than others for that. This one kind of sounds better without being too warped. So. Sounds pretty cool. And that's with no effects whatsoever, anything on that. Well, it's just all by itself. So if you just throw an auto filter on one of these things, for instance, a bit of reverb. fun. So let's see what else. Synth one shots. There's a bunch of those. Once you've made one of these kits, oops, I hope that didn't distort too bad. Once you've made one of these kits, you can really easily just pull in some other sound into the simpler and use the same setup, same effects. And of course, once you've made something that you like, which includes the simpler here and an auto filter, reverb, you can select them all by shift clicking on them and then click on group. And it turns it into a rack. And once it's a rack, you can name it Synth of my dreams or whatever. And then you can assign, let's say you want to assign this frequency of the filter to one of these macro knobs over here. So now get the idea. And you can add a bunch of stuff to that, reverb length or whatever. Let's say I wanted to change the sound just on the fly. All right. So you get the idea. That was just some goofing around demoing some of the sounds, but you could take it to a lot of different places by just adding your own effects and creating your own devices out of these one-shots and using them in all different kinds of ways. Hey, thanks for watching. Hopefully you liked some of those sounds. If not, thanks for watching. And if you did, then you can follow the link below in the description and grab the whole sound pack for yourself. Once again, I'm Aaron Holstein, and I will see you soon.